Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Get my phone. You by surprise. Nothing wrong that you can't make right. One thing remains, you never change. You are faithful every time. I've been to hell and back. I will remind my face that you have been there through it all. I won't be held by fear. There is no room for worry. Lord, you have been there through it all. I will take what you saw in me. Hold it up for the world to see. Your promise is true. My story is proof you've been leading me through. I've been to hell and back. I will remind myself that you have been there through it all. I won't be held by fear. There is no room to worry. For you have been there through it all. Let my testimony be of your steadfast love. You never lied to me. You never gave up. Oh, let my testimony be of your steadfast love. You never lied to me. All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris, and my wife is Stacey, and we do the Bible recap Monday through Friday, 7 a.m., Saturdays at 9 a.m., and Sunday evenings at 8. So we're on Monday morning, day 265, and we are in Zechariah, chapters 10 through 14. So, my Bible here. Can you have me a pair of glasses? Yeah, there you have them on. Oh, I don't know where mine are. I think they're in the truck. All right. I'm going to get going here. Got a lot going on this morning, so we're going to get started. Thank you. Morning, Jackie. Okay. read. Well, got my wife's fancy glasses on. All right, Zechariah chapter 10. Ask rain from the Lord in the season of the spring rain, from the Lord who makes the storm clouds, and he will give them showers of rain. To everyone the vegetation in the field. For the household gods utter nonsense, and their diviners see lies. They tell false dreams and give empty consolation. Therefore the people wander like sheep. They are afflicted for lack of a shepherd. My anger is hot against the shepherds, and I will punish the leaders. For the Lord of hosts cares for his flock, the house of Judah, and will make them like
majestic steed in battle.
Sorry, excuse me.
Majestic
steed in battle. From him shall come the cornerstone, from the tent peg, from him the battle bow, and from him every ruler, all of them together. They shall be like mighty men in battle, trampling the foe in the mud of the streets. They shall fight because the Lord is with them, and they shall put to shame the riders on horses. I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph. I will bring them back because I have compassion on them, and they shall be as though I had not rejected them, for I am the Lord their God, and I will answer them. Then Ephraim shall become like a mighty warrior, and their hearts shall be glad as with wine. Their children shall see it and be glad. Their hearts shall rejoice in the Lord. I wonder if we should go knock on Jamie's door.
I'm checking in. All right,
I will whistle for them and gather them in, for I have redeemed them, and they shall be as many as they were before. Though I scattered them among the nations, yet in far countries they shall remember me, and with their children they shall live and return. I will bring them home from the land of Egypt, gather them from Assyria, and I will bring them to the land of Gilead and to Lebanon, till there is no room for them. He shall pass through the sea of troubles and strike down the waves of the sea, and all the depths of the Nile shall be dried up. The pride of Assyria shall be laid low, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart. I will make them strong in the Lord, and they shall walk in his name, declares the Lord.
He hasn't answered yet. Do you want to go knock while I read this? One sec. Switch. He might be in the shower, but I texted twice, so just in case. Hi, loves. Zechariah 11. Yes. The flock doomed to slaughter. Open your doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour your cedars. Wail, O cypress, for the cedar has fallen. For the glorious trees are ruined. Wail, oaks of Bashan, for the thick forest has been felled. The sound of the wail of the shepherds, for their glory is ruined. The sound of the roar of the lions, for the thicket of the Jordan is ruined. Thus said the Lord my God, become shepherd of the flock, doomed to slaughter. Those who buy them slaughter them and go unpunished, and those who sell them away. Blessed be the Lord. And those who sell them say, blessed be the Lord, I have become rich. And their own shepherds have no pity on them, for I will no longer have pity on the inhabitants of this land, declares the Lord. Behold, I will cause each of them to fall into the hand of his neighbor, and each into the hand of his king, and they shall crush the land, and I will deliver none from their land. So I became the shepherd of the flock, doomed to be slaughtered by the sheep traders. And I took 2 staffs, one I named Favor, the other I named Union, and I tended the sheep. I like that. In 1 month, I destroyed the 3 shepherds, but I became impatient with them and they also detested me. So I said, I will not be your shepherd. What is to die, let it die. What is to be destroyed, let it be destroyed. And let those who are left devour the flesh of one another. And I took my staff, favor, and broke it, annulling the covenant that I had made with all the peoples. So it was annulled on that day. And the sheep traders who were watching me knew that it was the word of the Lord. Then I said to them, if it seems good to you, give me my wages, but if not, keep them. And they weighed out as my wages 30 pieces of silver. Then the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the lordly price at which I was priced by them. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them into the house of the Lord, to the potter. Then I broke my second staff, union, and annulling the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. Then the Lord said to me, take once more the equipment of a foolish shepherd, for behold, I am raising up in the land a shepherd who does not care for those being destroyed, or seek the young, or heal the maimed, or nourish the healthy, but devours the flesh of the fat ones, tearing off even their hoofs. Woe to my worthless shepherd who deserts the flock. May the sword strike his arm and his right eye. Let his arm be wholly withered, his right eye utterly blinded. Chapter 12. Coming right up.
All right. Air kicked on. A little chilly. All right. Chapter 12. The Lord will give salvation. The oracle of the word of the Lord concerning Israel. Thus declares the Lord, who stretched out the heavens and founded the earth and formed the spirit of man within him. Behold, I am about to make Jerusalem a cup of staggering to all the surrounding peoples. The siege of Jerusalem will also be against Judah. On that day, I will make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who lift it will surely hurt themselves, and all the nations of the earth will gather against it. On that day, declares the Lord, I will strike every horse with panic, and its rider with madness. But for the sake of the house of Judah, I will keep my eyes open when I strike every horse of the peoples with blindness. Then the clans of Judah shall say to themselves, the inhabitants of Jerusalem have strength through the Lord of hosts, their God. On that day I will make the clans of Judah like a blazing pot in the midst of wood, like a flaming torch among sheaves. And they shall devour to the right and to the left all the surrounding peoples, while Jerusalem shall again be inhabited and its place in Jerusalem. And the Lord will give salvation to the tents of Judah first, then the glory of the house of David, and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem may not surpass that of Judah. On that day, the Lord will protect the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the feeblest among them on that day shall be like David, and the house of David shall be like God, like the angel of the Lord going before them. And on that day I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem, him who they have pierced. And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and pleas for mercy, so that when they look on me, on him whom they have pierced, they shall mourn for him, as one mourns for any child, and weep bitterly over him.
An only child.
What did I say?
Any child.
Oh, for an only child, and weep bitterly over him, as one weeps over a firstborn. On that day, the mourning in Jerusalem will be great as the mourning of Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. The land shall mourn each family by itself, the family of the house of David by itself, and the wives by themselves, the family of the house of Nathan by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the house of Levi by itself, and their wives by themselves, the family of the Shedemites by itself, and their wives by themselves, and all the families that are left, each by itself, and their wives by themselves.
Good morning, Christy, and whoever else is here. Zechariah 13, on that day there shall be a fountain opened for the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and uncleanness, idolatry cut off. And on that day, declares the Lord of hosts, I will cut off the names of the idols from the land so that they shall be remembered no more. And also, I will remove from the land the prophets and the spirit of uncleanness. And if anyone again prophesies, his father and mother who bore him will say to him, You shall not live, for you speak lies in the name of the Lord. And his father and mother who bore him shall pierce him through when he prophesies. On that day, every prophet will be ashamed of his vision when he prophesies. He will not put on a hairy cloak in order to deceive, but he will say, I am no prophet. I am a worker of the soil, for a man sold me in my youth. And if one asks him, what are these wounds on your back? He will say, the wounds I received in the house of my friends. The shepherd struck. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, against the man who stands next to me, declares the Lord of hosts. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. I will turn my hand against the little ones. In the whole land, declares the Lord, 2/3 shall be cut off and perish, and 1/3 shall be left alive. And I will put this third into the fire and refine them as one refines silver and test them as gold is tested. They will call upon my name and I will answer them. I will say, they are my peoples, and they will say, the Lord is my God.
All right. Chapter 14. The coming day of the Lord. Behold, a day is coming for the Lord when the spoil taken from you will be divided in your midst. For I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses plundered, and the women raped. Half of the city shall go out into exile, but the rest of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations as when he fights on a day of battle. On that day his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives and lies before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall be split in two from east to west by a very wide valley, so that one half of the mount shall move northward, and the other half southward. And you shall flee to the valley of my mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach to Azil. And you shall flee as you fled from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. Then the Lord my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. On that day there shall be no light, cold, or frost. And there shall be a unique day, which is known to the Lord, neither day or night, but at evening time there shall be light. On that day, living waters shall flow out of Jerusalem, half of them to the eastern sea, and half of them to the western sea. It shall continue in summer as in winter. And the Lord will be king over all the earth. On that day, the Lord will be one, and his name one. The whole land shall be turned into a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem. But Jerusalem shall remain aloft on its site from the gate of Benjamin to the place of the former gate, to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the king's wine presses. And it shall be inhabited, for there shall never again be a decree of utter destruction. Jerusalem shall dwell in security, and this shall be the plague with which the Lord will strike all the people that wage war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they are still standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. And on that day, a great panic from the Lord shall fall on them, so that each will seize their hand of another, and the hand of the one will be raised against the hand of the other. Even Judah will fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the surrounding nations shall be collected, gold, silver, and garments in great abundance. Jamie's trying to call me. And a plague like the plague shall fall on the horses, the mules, the camels, the donkeys, and whatever beast may be in those camps. Then everyone who survives everyone who survives of all the nations that come against Jerusalem shall go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of booths. And if any of the families of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, there will be no rain on them. And if the family of Egypt does not go up and present themselves, then on them there shall be no rain. There shall be the plague with which the Lord afflicts the nations that do not go up to keep the feast of booths. This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that do not go up to keep the feast of booths. And on that day there shall be inscribed on the bells of the horses, holy to the Lord, and the Lord pot and and the pots in the houses and the pots in the house of the Lord shall be as the bowls before the altar. And every pot in Jerusalem and Judah shall be holy to the Lord of hosts, so that all who sacrifice may come and take of them, and boil the meat of the sacrifice in them. And there shall no longer be a traitor in the house of the Lord of hosts on that day.
Do we have an extra charger?
I'll look and see.
Okay, recap. What's really going on? Let us know, Tara. We just need the summary, right? Okay. Fake drawer on a desk. That's not helpful. Okay. I'm going to do this. This will work. Okay, Bible recap for Zechariah 10:14. Lean in. God promises to punish Judah's wicked leaders because of their passivity. That is not at all a godly characteristic in any way. Is not what he does. He does not like it. He likes hot or cold, decisive. The people sought guidance from wicked sources, diviners, and false gods. Then, when God's sheep are under his care, they'll grow strong and have victory over the enemy. Then, when God's sheep are under his care, they'll grow strong and have victory over the enemy. He'll bring them back from the nations where they've been scattered and multiply them in the promised land. God has Zechariah shepherd the flock destined for destruction. Some say this is a prophetic parable intended to help him better understand God's perspective. Others say it's a sign act where he becomes a literal shepherd of the group of animals known as the flock doomed to slaughter. This title likely refers to the animals kept near the temple for sacrificial offerings. Since not everyone owns animals, some people have to buy animals to sacrifice. But the animal owners, can you put mine on there?
It's not what I thought it was.
But could you put mine on the charger? And then as soon as mine's done, he can. Sorry, I didn't have one last night. So they had to buy animals to sacrifice. But the animal owners and shepherds are wicked people who only care about the money, not the animals. This parallels the relationship between Judah's leaders and God's people. Zechariah initially takes pity on the sheep, firing wicked shepherds. He guides them with two staffs, which he names Favor and Union. Okay, let me back this up because I needed a recap on this. Zechariah initially takes pity on the sheep, firing the wicked shepherds. He guides them with two staffs, which he names Favor and Union, or kindness and unity, representing not only his relationship to the sheep individually, but also the relationship the sheep have as a flock. But he loses patience with them because they hate him. He snaps his staff in half and quits his job. He gets a payout of 30 pieces of silver, but God says to give it to the person who makes the clay pots for the temple. Chapter 12 prophesies a day yet to come when the nations will attack Jerusalem, but God will fight on Judah's behalf and destroy those who come against them using panic as his weapon. Judah will recognize Yahweh as the reason for their victory. He'll pour out on his people his spirit of grace and mercy. Great prayer. Lord, pour your grace and mercy out on my son Jamie today, which changes people. Verse 10 says, they will look on me, on him whom they have pierced. They shall mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and weep bitterly over him as one weeps over a firstborn. John 19:37 points to this verse as a prophecy of Jesus. They pierced him and will mourn over him, his firstborn son. Chapter 13 gives us more prophecies of Jesus. He is the fountain who washes his people clean from their sins and uncleanness. Someday, he'll cut off all the idols and false prophets in the land. You don't need prophets anymore when all the prophecies have been fulfilled. The false prophets will go into hiding, but they won't be able to keep up the ruse because their backs will be covered in the scars that they got from the cutting practices associated with worshiping false gods. Verse 7 is quoted in Mark 14:27 when Jesus dies. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. And that's what happened when Jesus died. The sheep were scattered. But in God's great plan, that's exactly how the gospel spread to all the nations. There will be trials and sanctification, but what appears to be only tragic is used for God's glory and the good of his people. Chapter 14 recounts the future prophecies of the coming day of the Lord again, some of which sound like chemical warfare on that day. Presumably God, the Son, will stand on the Mount of Olives, which will be split, probably by an earthquake, causing a river to flow out of Jerusalem. God will reign on the earth and over everything in it. Today's God shot. All right, go ahead now and share any way that you are seeing God in this. Let's go ahead and tap in. And also go ahead and share. What are you excited about today? What gets no play today? And with whom and how can you share God's extraordinary love? I'm going to bring it home with this. Zechariah becomes the shepherd of the flock designed for slaughter. Zechariah becomes the shepherd of the flock designed for slaughter. This prophecy points us to Jesus. I don't need ice anymore. Never mind. Thank you, though. Repeatedly, 30 pieces of silver is the price Judas Iscariot paid for betraying Jesus to the authorities. Matthew 26:14-16. Zechariah gives his to the temple potters. And when Judas regrets betraying Jesus, he throws the silver into the temple and it's used to buy his burial plot in a potter's field. And of course, Jesus is the lamb destined for slaughter. This was the Father's plan before the world was even formed. Revelation 13:8. Zechariah 11 is dark, but it points to Jesus as the good shepherd who was first rejected by his sheep, then took the place of the sheep in the slaughter. He's the shepherd and the sacrifice. Because when it comes to his kids, God provides all he requires. He's where the joy is. Jesus. Well, there is a word. I was thinking like I just see God as Jesus as destined for slaughter. The way that she says things is so anointed, you guys. Let's just land here. It points us to Jesus, the good shepherd, who was first rejected by his sheep. Then he took the place of those sheep in the slaughter. He's the shepherd and the sacrifice. Because when it comes to his kids, God provides what he requires. Holy, beautiful truth. I am going to soak in that for the rest of my life. What about you, babe?
That's good. I obviously had to miss part of it, but the recap, but just the ending of that is so good. Just, and you see, like what we were reading through the prophecies, like the setting up of what's coming, and how in the beginning, God was trying to get his people to trust him, his children to trust him and walk with him, and knowing that wasn't going to happen, you see the setup of his son coming for a while, right? Because the Old Testament's pretty long, and so you see this coming, and the closer we get, the further along we get, the more you really begin to see the picture being painted and the plan starting to take place for Jesus to come.
So good. What a love he has for his people. What a love, right? So true. Whew. I'm going to be soaking in that for a while. I'm excited for God to show himself to our son today. We have court shortly, and I share that only to say, please be in prayer for our son. We would really love that staff of favor and kindness today. He's such a sweet soul, truly. All he has to do is be himself, and he just softens you. He's just so good. And I'm amazed, to be honest with you, that he's come as far as he has with what little he has had, with what little wisdom and training and parenting and community, like in the span of his life. I'm amazed at who he is and how far he's come. And I'm praying that literal transformation on a miraculous level happens in his life over the next couple months, through just the way that God shows up for him. And he's living with us through December at least, maybe hopefully longer. And we just are praying for today for Mercy. He's such a good kid, and he needs space for more development, like massive amounts of space for growth and development. Anyway, so please pray for Jamie today. Thank you for your prayers. I'm excited for God to show himself today. And what gets no play is offense. Chris and I have been reading Unoffendable. It is a book that's by, I keep forgetting this guy's name, but it is Brant. Is it Brant? Yeah. It's such an incredible book, and it has I'll say this, don't not read it. Like, for sure, don't not read it, because it's worth your time. Even if you take all the next year, I would love for us to just like go back through it and just totally, I don't know, with our kids. I feel like we have sown in our lives what was sown into us. And in that, we have brought about, I'm getting you the link. Just give me 1 second. We've brought about some just reactive, some anger, some ways of showing up that are just not healthy for marriage, for growth and relationships, and all of those things. And so I am, okay, you can go away. I'm going to just put the link. Would you just save this link? Literally everyone that you know could, JK, I don't know why it's not working, but anyway. Offense and anger get no play today is what I'm trying to say. And extraordinary love goes to Jamie and Chris, because that's my guys, and that's who I'll be with today. Drop it in the chat. What are you excited about today? What gets no play today, and with whom, and how can you share and show God's extraordinary love?
Excited just being with Jamie and everything that will take place today. And extraordinary love goes to Jamie, my wife.
No play.
Play. Not reading or listening, I guess, but reading the rest of that book on the way home and just getting to talk to Jamie about some of that stuff. And if you think about it, also, I have a good friend of mine that I grew up with. We've been friends since we were probably 8. I met 2 guys that since I was a kid that we've stayed friends. And he just had a sudden heart attack and died. We're the same age. So he's got kids and grandkids and brother, sister, mom, all that. Wife. Just all the things. And so he's a good guy, just a really good guy. He's one of those kind of guys that no matter where you're at, what you're doing, you could call him, say, hey, I need this. And he'd say, okay, what do I need to do? He was that kind of guy. So his name was Chris. So just if you think about it, pray for his family. Just a big shock to everybody. So I got the call yesterday morning, early in the morning. So, all right.
Praying for you and his family, which means we probably headed to Oklahoma in the next few days. Chris and he are so close that Chris will be doing the funeral. So pray for Chris, please, in that. We love you guys, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. 1, 2, 3. He's where the joy is.
Have a good day.
Thank you for prayers for Jamie. We appreciate it. And thank you, Christy, for praying for Chris and Jamie and all of that. We thank you guys for your prayers. We love y'all. See you in the morning. Are you taking a shower?